Hi, and welcome to the second episode of Why It Matters, a podcast series from the Straits Times where we take a closer look at one news story every week. My name is Jeremy Au Yong, and this week we will be discussing the potential historic meeting between US President Donald Trump and North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong Un that is supposed to take place here in Singapore on June 12th. To talk about this, we have with us ST's foreign editor, Zakir Hussain. Hi, Zakir.
Hi.
And senior aviation correspondent, Karamjit Kaur. Hi, Karam.
Hi, Jeremy.
Okay, so this is quite a fast-moving story with a lot of moving parts. For you, Zak,
Yep.
is this meeting even going to happen?
You know, no one knows. It's hard to say. I mean, North Korea has issued a threat, to cancel the summit. I'm not sure if it'll follow through on it. I mean, it's threatened to unleash fury on the US. It's clearly not done that.
But it was on this trajectory, it seemed, of peace. I mean, it swung from calling each other names. We seemed to be on the brink of nuclear war. Suddenly, we had months and months of just
That's right, yeah.
harmony and peace and love between the two.
Yeah.
And then Donald Trump tweets that they are having this meeting here, and suddenly this week it's off again, or maybe off.
Yeah.
Again. What do you see is going on here? What is the game? What is Kim's game plan?
I don't know. I think my own reading is I think he's threatened to cancel it, because could be for internal reasons, that he doesn't want his people to think he's turned all peaceful and, accommodating. And at the same time, on your doorstep, you have the US and South Korea, your mortal enemies still technically, conducting joint exercises, next door.
So are these military exercises just a excuse, or there's really some fundamental disagreement here that was not resolved?
So I think these exercises are just routine ones, and I think they decided that maybe we'll just carry on with them, and clearly North Pyongyang's reacting to them. So I'm not sure what will happen from there. There's a chance. I mean, I think there's still a good chance that both sides will back down and the summit will still go ahead. Okay. There's a lot at stake, and I think both for Kim and for Donald Trump.
So you're a betting man. This is still going to take place.
If I'm a betting man, I think I'll say the summit's still going ahead.
If I may just jump in, I agree with Zach. I think he and North Korea have much to gain, I think, from what I've read, from having the summit here. And I can't imagine that it will be called off, but we'll have to wait and see. We may be wrong. We may be right. Who knows?
Okay, since we are taking bets now, the other thing that I guess people are asking, and Karam, you actually wrote the first story on this summit going to take place here, is which hotel, or even if it is even going to be a hotel.
Yeah. So look, I think whether or not it happens, doesn't happen, I think all the work, all the planning that presumably has been going on for the last week, even maybe before that still continues. And, we have said that we're down to two possible locations. One is the Shangri-La. That seems to be the favorite when we speak to most security analysts, at least, because Shangri-La, they're very used to, holding such high-level conferences. Makes sense. The Shangri-La dialogue itself is going to be happening there from the 1st to the 3rd of June. The security arrangements would have been made. So it makes sense.
But is that glamorous enough for Trump?
Yeah, so that's the other thing, right? Because, it's a very quiet area, and then you have MBS, which is the other possible venue. And that's, as you said, the glamour, integrated resort, casino. It seems to be more in Donald Trump's style, if I may say so. And of course, on top of that, MBS, we all know, is owned by Las Vegas Sands, which is, the CEO and chairman is Sheldon Adelson, who is a major political donor of Donald Trump. So that might be a reason enough for the summit to be held there. And I think when you speak to security experts, and I've spoken to some of them, they say it is possible to cordon off one section of MBS. It's not like you have to close the whole integrated resort down, Right. So it can be done fairly safely, securely, but I think for security agencies, their preference would still be the Shangri-La. There was some talk about Sentosa, potentially. I think that's more or less been just...
so Sentosa has gone?
I think that's more or less been struck off the list.
Why? What's wrong with Sentosa?
okay, well, from what I hear, I think the big problem there is there's just one entry and exit.
Right.
I don't think that's ideal in terms of security. So just based on that, my money is, just to carry out this betting thing, probably Shangri-La or MPS.
Are you betting Shangri-La also?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just listening to the various considerations. I wonder if maybe they might just hold it at Paya Lebar Air Base.
Okay, but can the two planes land there? Can Air Force One land in?
Can it land there? Yes, I think I'm almost certain that the last time U.S. president came, there was Obama, of course, in 2013, was it? 2009. Sorry, he landed at Paya Lebar.
So the runway is long enough.
So
for
the Air Force for sure can land at Paya Lebar. I don't think it'll be a problem for Kim's aircraft as well. Whatever he chooses to fly in, I mean, some talk that he might come in his own Soviet-made IL-62, that can easily land at Paya Lebar, even if he, goes and borrows an aircraft from China, which is the other thing that's being talked about. But I'm quite certain that it can easily handle both planes. But to have the summit there, I don't know, man.
But Zah, are you betting on Paya Lebar Airport?
As the venue?
As the venue.
Where are you going to hold all the journalists and all? It'll be like a security nightmare,
Wouldn't it be
Air Force Open House is there, right?
Yeah, but
but is the place, glamorous enough? I always come.
That's true.
Not for Donald Trump.
There's got to be I think the photo is quite important.
Yeah. Given the short notice, I'm not sure. But you're right. I mean, maybe the Shangri-La looks like the most.
I think so.
Ideal.
I think that's the more practical choice. But with Donald Trump, I don't know whether practical is all that matters. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
And on this Kim's transport, so I understand that the choice of Singapore may have, his plane may have had a part to play in that. This is about just the furthest he's ever travelled, right, out of his country. Can his plane make it here? Oh.
Yeah, very easily. I mean, this aircraft, IL-62, it can easily cover 10,000 kilometers. That's like double the distance from Pyongyang to Singapore. It's the same aircraft he flew in when he went to Dalian in China, right, for his meeting. So it's not an issue for his plane to be able to fly here. I think the question is the cargo plane that accompanied him when he went to China. That one has a bit of a range issue, but he may or may not bring that plane in. So if it's just his own, personal aircraft, not a problem at all flying to Singapore, even further actually.
Okay, and I have one more question for the two of you. And this is quite a historic meeting. Eyes on the world are on this meeting. Is it a good thing for Singapore to have it here? What do we get? What does the world get if it goes well? And what do we lose if it goes badly? What are the risks here?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure how you define goes well. I think it's going to take a long time to play out. So Trump wants complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization, which is a pipe dream, really.
Yeah,
no one's gonna give that. Something in between would probably be more realistic. And I think that might be the outcome of Singapore. But I think if the outcome of the Singapore summit, or whatever they call it, is that it reduces tensions on the Korean Peninsula for a substantial period of time. Both sides work on some guarantees. North Korea's economy, right, which is really why I think Kim's doing all this. Gets a bit of a rebound.
And that's a positive.
I think that would be a positive.
What if the two guys go there, get into a fight, and they leave, and suddenly the diplomatic path is now ruined for this particular problem? For the North Korean problem, it's clear that diplomacy is not going to work. Is that a risk?
I think for me as a layman, I'm just speaking as layman, I think whichever way it goes, Singapore will always be remembered as the place where they either made up or fought. Either way, Singapore will always be associated with this historic meeting regardless of how it goes, And I think that might be the biggest prize for Singapore as a nation, and for Singaporeans, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with Karam. The significance, just the very significance that the meeting took place itself.
That's right.
Is momentous.
Okay, I think that's a good place to stop. And when the two of them, if they actually meet here, I will invite both of you back again to discuss what they talked about. Thanks a lot, Zak. Thanks, Karam.
Thanks,
Thanks, Jeremy.
And thanks everyone for listening. That brings this episode to an end. And do look out for the next episode of Why It Matters on the Straits Times, where we also have other podcasts on various topics.